Hello, y'all. Welcome back. I hope you are enjoying this series because I'm enjoying this series of bringing the folks back from earlier episodes. And today, y'all, we got how do I want to say this? The person who collected Dissertation of the Year awards like Affinity Stones. Y'all, like, y'all love it. Y'all be stalking her in the Facebook group if you're still in the community, even though she removed herself. Y'all still try it. Y'all be trying to find her on the Instagram, in the Twitters. Listen, I'm not mad at you. I get it. But I want to say, welcome back, Dr. Roshaunda Breeden. How are you?
Hey, I feel like I should hear the
Try to find it and put it in there.
Ooh, what's good?
That's good. Listen, people are like, I listened to that episode and my whole life changed. I don't know. How has that been for you? Like, now you have some time to reflect.
I probably need to go back to listen to that episode,
Mhm.
but literally there's not a month that goes by that somebody always reaches out to me with a
Mm.
screenshot of that episode and they say stuff like, I so resonated with this, or this blessed me, or thank you for being transparent, or I never would have thought this would have been your journey. And I'm just grateful that we were able to get it on wax when we did, so that people could see the transition, because I had a lot going on prior to. So
Mhm.
I'm glad that that episode lives on, because I just got a text the other day, a screenshot. Somebody was like,
Mm.
"A transformation." I'm like, yes, yes, yeah. So thank you for that.
Yeah, because people are looking at you now and they're like, it's like people have amnesia. I'm talking about the people who saw you before and
Hmm.
now.
Hmm.
It's like as if that did not exist. They just see you like, I mean, she's doing dope things, like writing here, she's doing this play here, she's like on this publication. She doesn't remember what it's like. It was easy for her. And
No,
so
I remember what it was like,
what
for
was it
sure.
like?
Well, one, people like to assume that my world has changed. My world is very
Mm,
much the same. I think what has changed, and a lot based on your help, is just my mindset and my approach based on like what I need, and how I move through space is what
mm,
changed. I think prior to, I always go back to that conversation you and I had initially, where I was just like an emotional wreck. I was tired. I was just like, I can't do this. I'm
mhm,
exhausted and I need your help. And yeah, the dissertation pieces were immensely helpful. But I think what I told you before is that the way you were able to see me and like gave me permission to be seen was what transformed it for me. And so now I do a lot less of the hiding thing,
mm,
right? I don't have to hide. And I reconcile some of my identities of why I felt like hiding was important. So, as a black woman, as a fat black woman, as a low income first gen woman, as a person with lots of traumas, which a lot of that you can relate to,
mhm,
we're taught to hide. We're taught to
mhm,
like make yourself smaller, shrink yourself. And that's essentially how I was showing up initially in the doc process. Like, I didn't want to be too smart. I didn't want to
mhm,
be too extra. I didn't want to be too flashy on the internet. I wanted to stay humble, and in talking to you, the questions you would ask me, like, why is that, Ro? Or why can't you just do what you want to do? Or why can't you just pivot in your
mhm.
dissertation? Or, if you had all the money in the world, Ro, what would you do? And so I think that all of that gave me permission to show up
Mm,
for myself. And the struggle is still real. Life is still lifing, but I show up for
mhm.
myself differently. I ask people for things that I need. Like, it's so real, Marvette. I'm showing up to the doctor's office like, hey, these are my questions, okay? And if you can't get this right today, I'm gonna find another doctor. Okay, because I don't have time for this. Like, it's a different
It is
energy.
a different energy, yes.
So my doctors and specialists, they be like, okay, we gonna figure this out, because they understand, like, y'all working for me. So when I swipe this HSA card, I want everything. So I think that's truly the difference. And like I said, I'm the same person. A
Mhm,
lot of my circumstances are still the same. My family's still hood as ever,
mhm,
doing hood things. I'm constantly having to put out fires. I set boundaries with them. My friendships, I'm telling people what I need. Like, hey,
mhm,
my birthday is, a few weeks away. we're having dinner on this day. This is what we're doing. Oh, you can't come? That's fine. I'm still have dinner and it's gonna be incredible. Like it's just a different energy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know you appreciate this that just flashed in my head.
Yeah.
I'm flashing back to when Beyonce was on Oprah. And she was like, I know I told you to keep your relationship private, but ma'am, you're not even talking to me about it on the show. And Beyonce was like, and what's your question? And so I'm bringing that example to say, I know I was like, yeah, bro, go do the things, but y'all the boundaries. I'm like, okay, but I'm gonna try to. Listen, I try to even be slick, y'all. I'm like, I'm gonna try to like slide around and ask it this way. And she was like, I said no, like in the most kind and loving way. I'm like, okay, you're right. Let me go figure it out. But no, I love watching, and I giggle to myself because I'm like, I mean, great, check, good student.
My boundaries have to be strong though, because you know me well. So you
Mhm.
know, like I really care about people and they freaking annoy me. So if I already know I'm gonna be annoyed, or if I already know it's something's gonna take a lot of energy because I'm gonna deeply care about it, sometimes I have to say no, even
Yeah.
if I really want to do it, and it's not personal.
Mm.
But I have to protect myself because I can go down extreme rabbit holes and
Mhm.
then I'll be mad at, a situation or a person or at myself when I could
Yeah.
have just been like, you know what, I don't have the capacity for that right now.
Mhm.
So I think that too you helped me with. Like I didn't realize how much of a people pleaser I was.
Mhm.
And I think the way I saw you navigate, unpacking your people pleaser person
Mhm.
made space for me to do that. Like, how many times do I just do stuff for my mom just because I'm trying to be a good daughter, right? When in reality, she's never really gonna see me as a good daughter.
Mm-mm.
So why I just need to stop, right? Or how often do I do things for friends so they could see me as a good friend when I just need to be a good friend? I don't have to perform.
Mm-mm.
And so I feel good that I've been able to like take off a lot of
Mm.
that. Now, it creeps back up sometimes.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. I'm going through a whole season right now, and I'm like, what? It's coming out of nowhere, but I don't. I was just telling someone earlier, like, I don't think this ever ends. I just think we go through a new level of it, like that whole spiral staircase analogy.
Yeah.
We go back to the same thing. It's not the exact same, but it's the same area. It's the same, a similar lesson, new level of the lesson.
Yes. And when I'm learning the same lesson, I am like deep in my reflection bag, deep in my journaling bag, deep in the like voice noting friends when, things are just coming
Mhm.
up for me. Like you'll get those notes. They're like, I know you're busy, but listen to this for 2 seconds.
I love it.
Like I'll send those to Melvin, I'll send them to Joan, I'll send them to whoever I think can relate to what I'm talking about in a second, because I just need somebody to like hear where my
Mm.
brain is going and like redirect me. So yeah, I'm still working on that, but I'm so much better than I was.
Listen, so that's a whole proverb. I'm so much better than I was.
Mm-hmm.
And it's anything like something you said earlier. I label it as like the shame, right? When we're hiding, that's shame. And being first gen, right? Coming from HOOD, right? Like that's some set a building and like it's the hood, y'all. I don't know how they
Yeah.
got me here. Okay, let me come back. But like coming from backgrounds and you find yourself in a doctoral program, it can almost feel like, well, I just need to shut up and be quiet. I can't be too loud. I can't be too smart because I'm lucky to just be here. I
Yeah.
need to just be grateful that they even allowed me a spot in.
Mm-hmm.
And when that is playing over and over, that's why we like, I believe, constantly shrink and shrink and shrink.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I was definitely doing that until we connected and you helped me unpack some of that. Even when I got into a faculty role, immediately I kind of put back on that. Oh, I need to
Mm-hmm.
shrink in this space because I don't deserve to be here. But honestly, and when I look at all of my faculty peers, even people at my institution or not, I can hold my own.
Mm-hmm.
So when I show up as this hoodtastic, care deeply about DEI, passionate professional professor, my students feel that on so many levels. Like in my evaluations and everything, you'll read students saying, man, I could tell Dr. Breeden is really passionate. I
Mm,
could tell she really is she knows what she's doing. Her work is fire. She's honest. She's transparent. Her feedback is real. I'm not
mm,
trying to figure out what the heck she's saying because she's direct. And so I found myself initially in the faculty role, putting back on some of that, but I had to remember like who I was,
mhm.
how did I get here, how I deserve to be here. And so it was like you were saying previously, like I just had to relearn that lesson. I was on a different level,
Yeah,
but I'll circle back around to that lesson, and I was like, oh, we got to go off.
yeah.
And so that's essentially what happened, even coming out of the dissertation process.
And to that point, I've been doing a lot of coaching around. You have a student identity and then you have a doctor identity. You allow yourself to be a student in this process and measure your progress by how well you're doing as a student, not how well you're doing as a doctor, because you're not there yet. Right. And
Yes.
so it's like you're going to master. I was telling this client, like, you mastered becoming a student. Let's stand in that. Let's celebrate that. It's okay to say I'm better than them. Because
Hmm.
if you put in the work that they didn't put in, you put in the practice of being a student that they didn't put in, aren't you better then?
Yeah.
Right. And then when you graduate, now we could start talking about who do you want to be as a doctor? What does that mean for you personally to master being a doctor? Because that's not going to be the same for everyone else. And I agree with your students. Like watching you, I'm like, I just kind of want to go enroll in the program just so you could be my
You sound
instructor.
like Melvin. Melvin's like, "Can I be in the program?" I'm like, I don't know if you can, but yeah, yeah. I think, as a doc student, you would tell me all the time, like when we met one on one or even in the groups, like, Ro, I know you're killing it, XYZ. I didn't really believe that.
Hmm.
But now that I'm out, I'm like, oh, I was an awesome doc student. Or even now I talk to my chair, and he's like, yeah, you were a great doc student. Like I didn't have to do much. I was just showing up. He's like, even in your defense, I was like, all right, y'all ready? And like you said that to me, but and I couldn't hear it. I don't think
Hmm.
until after the fact. And now that I'm on the other side, I was like, yeah, I was a good doc student, and
What's
even
helping you to see that?
so many things.
Mhm.
One, hearing it now from my chair, and we may not always get that from our chairs because we know how faculty can be sometimes. So you
Mhm.
may not get it from them. But that helped. Rewatching my
Mhm.
defense. Sometimes I, go back and look at it or go back and share it or go back and read what I wrote. Like, oh, I sound real smart here. I sound like I know what's going on. Still continuing to talk about my work. Like a lot of us like to run away from the work after we defend, but continuing to go back into it and publish and present on it is a reminder that you know what you're talking about. And then just talking to other doc students. So many other doc students just be so lost.
Mhm.
So lost. I was like,
Mhm.
I was not this lost. I didn't know what was going on, but I was not this lost. So that helped me too. And then just, I think after going through all that, there's just a reassurance that comes naturally
Mhm.
that I know what I know, and you can't tell me that I don't know. Like, we talk
Yeah.
about how that defense can be a really hostile place, and it can be, but also if we reframe it in our brains, if you're just able to answer that question and defend why you said what you said, you're a doctor.
Mhm.
And so then you'll take that approach to everything that you do. Like I said what I said here. Any questions? You could be at a fast food restaurant, at the doctor, with the family
Yeah.
member. You could be anywhere. Like I said what I said, looking people straight in the eye, not blinking, and people will be like, "Oh, okay. Let me
Let me respond accordingly.
let me
Yes.
respond accordingly." And so I also think you taught me that's the energy I needed to walk into the defense with, and then so that's the energy I continue to move with after that. So it took me a
Mhm.
little bit long to be like, damn, I do know what I'm talking about, but there was all of these moments I was able to see it after the fact. And you would say things like, there's all these little moments where you become doctor, and
Mhm.
I thought about in the doc program, there were all these little moments where I had to stand up for myself when I had a racist adjunct professor and I had to be like, you're racist. And then seeing him when I picked up one of those dissertation of the year awards and just waving,
Don't remember. You
just
know
being
what?
petty. Hi. Racist. Hey, boo. You see this award? It was at the SACSA conference. It was a good feeling. I won't even lie to you. So yeah, and then like the program calling me back to do good things, and not younger, but students still in the program saying, "Oh, I read this piece that you wrote, and I resonated with that." All of those moments have been good for my spirit.
So many places I want to go. Now that you are someone who, mentors and works with doc students and helping them along their process, I would really love your thoughts on the sense of urgency folks have to get through the process. I'm just going to leave it there because I'm just genuinely curious to what you have to say about it.
Oh, there's so much to that I could unpack. I'll start with doc students and then I'll start with programs. As a doc student, there is this sense of urgency of getting through quickly. And I think that exacerbates people and it makes the anxiety even worse. But when I talk to a lot of doc students about why they're in a hurry, they don't have a response, not a true one. They have this like, I set this deadline in my head and I have to get it done. When I cause them to, or when I encourage them to step back and think about, could you take an extra semester? Could you take an extra summer session? Could you take an extra year even? There's so much peace that comes along with that. And then their brain is so less cluttered. Then they're able to get their work done. And so I really don't, I know where that sense of urgency comes from, but I don't really know why we put it on ourselves like we do. Because I remember putting it on myself. And I even had a postdoc, in the middle of my faculty role. And in my postdoc, I was like, man, this could have really truly been another year in the program. But I'm here now, so I need to, make use of it. But I was like, girl, why were you in a rush to do, this many years? And so, yeah, I would tell doc students out there, if you're in a rush, but it's causing you a lot of angst, it's causing you to lose sleep, it is causing you not to even be able to focus on your writing because you hear like an inner time clock or inner, what's that called? Like almost like a
dialogue or
yeah,
pressure or
yeah. If you're here, like if you're hearing a ticking that you gotta get done, you gotta put that aside. You gotta find ways to give yourself space to not have to finish so quickly. Cause what are you in a hurry for? I tell that to my I have a niece in her early 20s. She went through early college, so she did college in like 2 to 3 years. She just graduated with her master's, and she's been going through the world quick her whole life from kindergarten to now. And she has a master's and she's like, what, 21, 22? And she's like, okay, now, Aunt Ro, what do I do now? I'm like, first of all, slow down. There's nothing out here but bills.
That part.
And adulting. I'm like, you could have had a few more years of wild undergrad days and even in your master's program, because she's in Miami, you could have had more time to like just kick it and be with your friends. Please don't be rushing to try to grow up.
Yeah.
And so I'm saying that same thing to doc students. Please don't just be in a rush, because whatever you have in your head around dream job or dream whatever is next ain't real. You just gotta be in the moment because you never know what could even come up for you. And so that's doc students. When I think about programs, and my program is guilty too, we gotta stop thinking that students can do these things in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Sometimes it takes as long as it takes, specifically to write. Like some people can write all along. Some people need dedicated time to write. Some people need a year, 2 years, 3 years, depending on their life circumstances. So I think we need to be more honest about how long it can take, particularly for folks who are also working and may have other identities like caretaker or, like it may take you longer, but then like the question is still is like, what are you in a hurry to then do?
Ooh, okay. So good. So good. Two parts. The first part is on the student, first of all, let me say, I wholeheartedly agree with you. We're definitely on the same page, which is why I was about to jump to the next question. Like, because when I was doing the interview with Joan, right, and I was talking about like, yo, do you realize 2 months? Girl, we did that in 2 months. And that's a lesson that's been coming back around for me because there have been a few students in the group who are like, I want to do what you did because of my chair is going on sabbatical or they're retiring or these external, like they have a reason of like, I want to.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell them like, yeah, that means everything has to cease. Like if you're gonna go with this, which I still don't think you have to, I still think there's another way we can work around it because I know the cost of it. But
Mm-hmm.
if me telling you what it costs me,
Mm.
and it's most likely going to cost you the same thing. Here's my advice of how you need to navigate that. That means no working. You're going to
Mm.
have to take time off of work. That means any and everybody else that is not their dissertation has to be put on pause. And that means you're going to have a lot of nights. You are going to be breaking down and you're going to be crying and you're going to be so exhausted, you're not going to be able to think straight.
Mm-hmm.
But it's possible, right? But do you want to pay that cost? And watching them go through, and when they get to those points, being like, yeah, I can't handle it, or still trying to keep up with their same work demands and their same people demands, and it completely destroying them to the point they can't do that. And I'm like, yeah, that's why I don't tell people to do it. You can, but you don't have to. Right. And so
Mm-hmm.
I've been thinking about where is this overall sense of urgency. And what I was going to ask you is like, what about the students who would say, but it's the dissertation that's causing me the late nights and the anxiety and the stress. And if I could just, else people say, if I could just get this dissertation off my back, I'll feel free. That's where the
Mm-hmm.
sense of urgency is coming from.
I would say to those people, you think it's the dissertation, but the dissertation is just a project. It's just something that you have to do. What you really have to come in command of is yourself. If you're doing everything but dissertation, of course you're not going to be able to get anything done, right? If you
Mhm.
are taking on extra duties at work, of course you're not going to be able to get it done. Like you really have to sit with yourself. First sit with yourself about why is there a sense of urgency and if it's real. Is
Mhm.
this sense of urgency real or did someone make it up? That someone could be you, that someone could be your program, and really being honest about that. Then after being honest about that sense of urgency, be honest about who you are. Are you the type of person that can lock in? And if you do lock in, are you willing to lose what you're going to lose? It could be your health. It
Mhm.
could be relationships. It could be, just free time to binge watch your shows. Are you willing to give up the new Bridgerton when it comes out?
Mhm.
It's like really truly being honest about that. And if folks are honest about that, then that can be move them forward. But it's never the dissertation itself because this is just a project you have to do.
Yeah.
A project divided up in little itty bitty sections that you have to flesh through and submit. And it's also folks don't want the feedback. I have a lot of students that are just holding on to chapters or rewriting chapter after chapter. And I tell them, if you rewrite that chapter 2 one more time, if you rewrite, like send it already. And so I think that's a part of it too. People need to be honest with what they're doing because some people are writing, but they're not sending.
Mm.
And then some people are writing and sending and their chairs aren't responding and then they're scared to be like, where did you read my stuff? And I tell students all the time, you better have agency. You better be like, hey, such and such, can we meet
Mhm.
twice a month? Hey, such and such, I know you're on summer sabbatical, but can we then meet August 1? Like the energy that we are talking about before. This is your
Yeah.
process. If you want to be done, you tell your chair what's next. Don't wait.
Mm.
Please don't wait for your chair. We got a lot going on. And if a student shows up with me and they have their deadlines and they seem like they're focused and they're sitting chapter after chapter, I'll be like, okay, great.
I match
I'm going to
energy.
read this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will match energy. I'm going to read this in the next week or two and we're going to send this to your committee if it's ready, right?
Mhm.
But if somebody is ghosting me and then telling me they want to graduate in the next few months, I
Mm.
don't even respond because I'm like, where is the evidence of that?
Make it make sense. No, look, listen, there's so much. It's there's so much I want to get to, and I'll say this as we transition from student to the program.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's call a spade a spade. It is your arrogance and your entitlement that you think you don't have to pay the same cost as other people. And I get it. I don't know if it was your niece or your goddaughter, the one who's like just graduated with the master's.
Niece, yeah.
I noticed that when things like that happen really fast, like you're so used to being good at school, then you get into this doctoral process and you're like, whoa, wait a minute. I have never had these challenges before where I didn't do what I said I was going to do, or I couldn't move through a program really quickly. And if we're not careful, we can internalize that and think, oh, there's something that must be wrong with me. It's like, no, you just met your match. This is what's called a challenge.
Let me
Welcome.
let me unpack that. And if she ever hears this, she gonna be like, Auntie, okay, I told you sis graduated with her master's. So
Mhm.
a few months before graduation, she had to take some certification exam. It's like basically a standardized test that lets her, get licensed to do the work that she does. This fails the test.
Mm.
It's calling me boohooing like, oh my God, Auntie, the world is over. So these people did not pass me. I'm nice and I'm a caring person. I didn't say this initially because I let her cry
Mhm.
it out. But in my head, I already knew she didn't study. You know how I knew? She didn't have to. She's not had to put in any additional work because she has an amazing memory.
Mm.
And she's a good finesser. She gets that from
Mhm.
her uncle. They got good memories. They can finesse anything. So when it came to the standardized test, sis probably thought she was just gonna show up
Mhm.
and do what she regularly does, pass it, get her licensure, get a job, live her best life. Some people take that same approach to the dissertation process because, like you said, they have been accelerated in everything. They've been phenomenal in school. K through 12 was a breeze, undergrad breeze, master's breeze. Now they're in a doc program and they're facing challenges and they're like, I'm
Mhm.
so surprised. I'm so outraged. And then you're like, wait, did you study? Did you read? Read? Did you write? I gotta write? Did you take your advisor's feedback? Well, no, I didn't open it. What make you think? And here's my other thing. A lot of folks really do have to ask themselves, is this even what they want? Because
Mm.
for some folks, current day folks, some of my students even will say, well, I just wanted this for the title,
Yep.
or I just wanted this to move up in my field. Understanding that getting bestowed doctor doesn't automatically make those things even happen.
Mm-mm.
It's you. Like, this is just an honorific. This is just pomp and circumstance. If you don't change, whatever you want next isn't going to happen with whether or not you have the degree or not. I have some students that are getting these jobs right now and they're still in the program.
Yeah.
But what changed is their energy. They're not even doctor yet, but they're getting amazing jobs, or they're figuring out they don't want this at all. And that's okay. So
Mm.
also, like, folks got to be real about why you're doing this. And if you're just doing this for the hype, and honestly, go ahead and bow out if you're not going to commit to doing it. Or if you're listening to this and you're thinking, should I do it? It'll look cute in the pictures. I can have
Mhm.
a bomb photo shoot. But if that's the only thing that you want, go do something else. Find
Go
another
do
hobby.
hobby.
Get a certification, something, but don't go into a
Mm.
doc program because a lot of folks will say it's this, it's that, it's this, but no, you had the wrong expectations from the jump. You expected this program to give you something that you're supposed to give yourself.
Mm. I mean, we could just end it right there. I mean, I know I had other things. I'm just kidding. It's too good not to keep going. Listen, because a lot of people get their dream jobs and then are stuck.
Yeah, that too.
It's like, yeah, because you didn't need a degree for that.
No, you didn't need the degree for that. And yeah, we got to unpack why we're getting in these programs. Especially I see on like TikTok and stuff, folks are like, I'm going through a breakup or I'm
Like
bored.
those things of like Black woman goes through breakup 5 seconds later.
I'm
I'm already enrolled in a program. Wait a minute. Why?
No, go find a hobby.
It's not this.
Go no. No, right?
Mhm.
And I even had to ask myself, like, why did you do this? And so I've been unpacking that, for the last few years as well. Like, why did I do this? And this is what I want to continue to do long term. I think those
Hmm.
are questions that we all have to continue to ask ourselves.
Hmm. Now these programs are not what's the word I'm looking for?
Designed,
Or
orchestrated.
they're not absent from this conversation. That's not the word I was looking for, but
Oh, okay.
so I one of the things I've been coming to grips, I've been fighting, and I think you know this about me. I've been fighting this since I started this. It is becoming clear that I need to, for real, get serious about working with faculty. But here's why I've been resisting it, because I'm like, I don't want to have to. I don't. because I'm gonna cuss you out. And then now what we're gonna do? Because part of you saying programs need to be honest and they need to be more intentional, like telling students it may take you a long time. It may require this level of work. But the reason why I'm like, I need to work with faculty is their arrogance and entitlement. It's like, well, I got it out the mud. You got to get it out the mud too. Like you got to do this. Like that is over. That is inflated sense of what they did to become
Mhm.
a doctor, and
Mhm.
not realizing you didn't do it by yourself.
Yeah.
You had to have support. You don't get here without having support. And
Yeah.
you too were confused and lost at some point. It may not look like this student, but don't come up in here acting like you just smooth sailing through the thing. And there's 2 points I wanna make in
Listen.
faculty, but, like, that first point is some faculty, I'm like, "You're telling your student to write every day, but you're not giving them clear instructions, and then you wanna make it a moral failing as to why they can't figure out what it means to write every day when you didn't clearly explain to them your
Mhm.
expectations of what that even looks like to write every day. What does your process look like? You don't
Mhm.
just sit down and gold manuscripts come out, like,
No.
be honest, but that
Yeah.
would require them to practice a level of vulnerability that I don't think a lot of them are willing to do.
And that's why you and I have been talking about this before. That's why faculty also need space to be able to unpack that, because there is a lot of entitlement. And across different faculty, across institutions that I've worked with, faculty,
Mhm,
some faculty went through this process 10, 20 years ago. They misremember what it was like to
mhm,
be a student. They misremember all the things that you might have going on. They misremember how confused that they felt. And when it's time to orient students, or when it's time to get them to do what we need them to do, we are very unclear about what the goal is. And
mhm,
then we're frustrated when students don't give us back what we thought we taught them. Well, maybe we didn't teach them. Right? And
mhm,
so, like, what would it look like for us to unpack all of those pieces?
mm,
I'm very much connected to the student experience because I just got out of it, and I'm very aware of what students go through.
mm,
And so I have that empathy. And so a lot of the students do come to me, but I'm also advocating on the faculty side, like in orientation, let's make sure we're clear about APA. Let's make sure we're clear about what the process is.
mhm,
If a student doesn't persist in a course, what then do they do? And how can we make sure that it's not, one thing for Sally and a different thing for Bob, right?
mhm,
And so you're right. We need to unpack those pieces, but a lot of that is internal because a lot of faculty have just been, have had this sense of urgency through their doc program, then the tenure track,
mhm,
now are trying to pursue full, professor. So
mhm,
they have constantly been on this journey. Still don't have a lot of self-reflection, still are so unaware, still are so elite in their thinking, and wonder why students can't connect. So
mhm,
there's a lot there. And like you have that one episode where it's like your advisor is human. I encourage folks to really listen to that and unpack it, because you're looking at some of these faculty to show up with all the answers, and the honest truth is we ain't got none.
we ain't got this. It's like we
And
day
I use
mm,
I use ain't intentionally,
yes.
so we ain't got it. A lot of us are tired. A lot of us have multiple students that we're working with, chairing probably 8, 9, 10 dissertations, trying to show up in our personal lives, and then having to show up for you,
Yeah.
right? And so it's a give and take on both sides. But yes, faculty need some space of support, and we have a few online spaces that I tap into. But especially as a Black person with a lot of minoritized identities, I've been needing another space to just
Yep.
really really keep it so real. Like, I wish I could just log in with my bonnet, a
Yeah.
cup of whatever beverage that I got that day, and can keep it totally real. Like,
Mhm,
vent about whatever's happening day to day, vent about students, but also know that I'm still committed to this work, right? Yeah, we need space for that, and we don't have it.
mhm,
A lot of the spaces still feel very stuffy, even
mhm,
even though the professor is changing,
mhm,
which is why I'm in it. Like, all of my friends who are professors are dope AF,
mhm.
but they're not your professor's professor. Like,
No. Mm-mm.
the game is changing. We need space to just be.
To just be.
Yeah.
And bro, I wouldn't be me if I don't make this last point for you in terms of going through this spiral staircase layered approach. Going back to hoarding a writing piece.
Yeah.
And this is what I'll challenge for you and other dope folks like you. A lot of your students, especially the ones who look like you, are hoarding their writing because they respect you so much,
Mm.
because they know you don't play, because they know you have high standards for them, and thinking about how they've been socialized, that then becomes, oh, let me go. What it looks like on their end is, okay, let me go write this chapter. I'm gonna send it to my best friend, because you gotta always send it to your best friend. Then
Mm-hmm.
you gotta send it, they might send it to other committee members just to make sure, is this right? Because in their mind, they're like, this has to be perfect before I can submit it to you, my chair, because I know that your opinion, I hold your opinion so high, but they're not expecting, the socialization doesn't tell them to expect that. The high demand or expectation comes with high support. We're
Mm-hmm.
not used to that. I know we learned that student affairs 101, but like not everyone follows that. And so while it looks like from the faculty point of view, oh, this student is not doing anything, they're hoarding, they're just being lazy, whatever people want to say, from their point of view, it's mostly they're trying to get all their ducks in a row. So I spend a lot of times being like, just turn it in because they want to
Yes.
help you.
Yes. And I,
And
I say that if you're listening to this and you have work that you need to
mhm.
turn in, yes, you. The person that's like, you talking to me? Yes, we talking to you. If there is work that you need to turn in, I need
Mhm.
you today. Type a message to your chair. Say, here's what I'm working on. Just wanted to send it your way to get your thoughts on flow, on ideas, on how I've organized this. Send it on. And I tell students to do that all the time. I even will sit with students as they type it and I even say blind copy me on it. I did Dante like that.
Mhm.
Dante had to blind copy me on a few emails to his chair, Dr. Miller, excuse me.
Mm.
But yeah, some students will blind copy me on it.
Mhm.
And when I tell students to do this, I want you to know that your chair would just be so happy that you have sent something across their desk, and they will let you know what you need to do. They will let you know if it's good. They will let you know what parts you need to change. We will let you know what you might need to add. I may even send an article or two for you to read, right? So that you have
Mhm.
some direction of where to go next. If you don't send anything, I can make up a whole story in my mind about you. And especially if you have minoritized identities, folks will make up whole stories. Oh, well,
Mhm.
this, that, and the third about their family life and this, and we didn't
Mhm.
we didn't think they could do it, and blah blah blah. But if you are sending me words on a page, then we can do some things.
Yeah.
We can clean it up. We can organize it. I might move some sections around. And as a faculty member, I try to be transparent with students. We in one of my classes, we have a standing writing day on Mondays. And I'm in there writing with them. And I'm like, y'all, this is the 8th version of this revise and resubmit
Mm.
article. And they're like, what? I'm like, y'all
Mhm.
think faculty just be,
Mhm.
typing and pushing out work and bam, it's published? I'm like, no, this is the 8th iteration of this piece. I hope it's published, but if not, I'll figure out, what else I can do with it from here. So I also try to be extremely transparent so that they know that this is the feedback loop is looping.
Yeah.
Just constant feedback, constantly going back to it. I tell them, even like, there are things that I have published now that if I could go back, I would change it up now. And it would be a completely different publication if you gave me 6 months to redo it. So yeah, just send it.
That's beautiful. Thank you. 'Cause, yeah, I could, talk more. And I just feel like I told Joan, like, we need to get the 4 doctors on one call and probably just block out like 3 hours and just talk, because I don't think that's an hour conversation. But
Listen, well, if you do that, just know that you and I probably won't get a
we
word
both get
in, because Joan, Dr. Collier, and Dr. Stewart will be like, ah, la, 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 la. Oh my gosh. You and I will be like,
yeah.
mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah,
Let's
that's
debrief afterwards. The battle of the external processes, the internal processes, y'all.
oh my gosh.
Oh,
Yeah,
this
but
is so good.
Yeah, and maybe we can do it at the next conference. We just
Mm-hmm.
like maybe do a live like
Mm-hmm.
episode or catch us at ACPA or ASH or something.
Oh yeah, I plan to take over ACPA next year.
Okay.
Like I want all Qual Scholars to be there. It's Chicago. It's the 100th anniversary. Like we just need to take over. Well, why not?
Yeah, yeah, and then we just do an episode
Oh, a
and
live recording.
yeah,
Yeah.
and just cackle because I really want students to know what life could be like
Mm-hmm.
in these conference spaces, in the academy. Like, it doesn't have to be this downtrodden, soul sucking, I hate my life situation.
Mm-hmm. Don't.
We have a good time. Like, people are like, oh, y'all conferences, y'all look like y'all be having a blast. It's like, you got to really find your people and we do the conference, but we also do the city. We go to
Yep.
restaurants.
Yep.
We, talk trash, but it's all a part of the experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a perfect ending. Find your people, and y'all heard the clock boundaries. Listen, it is time.
That's
It's
that's my reminder to drink water, Marvette.
like that could have been perfect boundaries. We gotta cut it, y'all. I will put your contact information in the show notes because people find you, so I don't find it's a problem. But I'll still put it down there. Y'all have to go follow her where you can, wherever she allowed you to follow her. And
I know that's right. I'll give y'all a little LinkedIn action.
yes.
Yes.
But thank you, and definitely have you on again. I hope you enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you.